Hey there guys, Cubby and Brandon here with Nerdlocker.com with your comic reviews for the week.
Let's get to it.
Hey there guys, Cubby here with my comic reviews this week. First up, I got to read Avengers XMen, round number 6. Holy crap. Finally, we got a awesome art change. I'm not a fan of John Romita Jr. at all. I hope you guys know that. I hope you guys have gotten that from me from the last couple reviews I've done. Olivier Coipel was on this issue finally, and all I have to say is, after the events of last issue, it kind of just makes sense that he shows what these people are doing and shows what has happened, what has unfolded over the last couple days. It doesn't pick up right after the last issue. It's actually kind of a little bit of a time jump, like a week and a half, and there's a couple more time jumps. It's not a big span of time, but definitely enough for these people to do some really big things in the world. It's not an action issue. There's a little bit at the end, but it's not really relying on that. It's a lot of character buildup. You're understanding where the new Cyclops, Emma Frost, all these other people, what they're feeling, what they're doing, and what they're trying to accomplish. Really good issue, really well written, well drawn, just perfect. This is a great event. I hope it doesn't lose steam, and I hope it doesn't do what Brian Michael Bendis usually does and not end. I want an ending in this series. I really hope we get it. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. All right, guys, I also got to read Fables number 118 this week. Whoa, things are getting crazy. I don't know if you guys are reading it and keeping up with it, but things have been insane the last couple issues. Finally, things are really heating up. You start to see the consequences that came about of the abduction of one of Snow White's and Bigby Wolf's children. It's like, it's been really intense. Like, you really can't get into too many details because I don't want to give too many spoilers, especially for people who haven't read Fables. You kind of need to know a lot of stuff that's happened, especially around issue number 50. Issue number 100 really changed things up too. So if anything, read Fables from the beginning if you haven't read it before. Get to this issue, be mind blown like me, because it's definitely one of the best comic book series out there. Beautiful artwork, beautiful storytelling. It just works really well. This was a heartbreaking issue. There was just a whole 2-page spread of just heartbreak and sadness, and it was done in a really good way. It didn't leave you overwhelmed with grief or anything. It just kind of showed you what's up and just hit you in the face with it. It pulled it off greatly. I got to give this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, this is Haley with my review of Green Lantern Corps number 10, and I have to say, I don't really have this on my pull list, but it's still something I like to read here and there, so I decided to review it for you guys this week. And I have to say, you know, I really like Guy Gardner, and this is kind of more about John Stewart in this issue, but Guy Gardner definitely comes in and kicks ass, and that's what I thought was really fun about this comic. It has to do leading up to John Stewart's execution. I mean, it starts right from the very beginning, so you know that. But it's really interesting how the events unfold, and it kind of seems like, will he actually be executed? Because I mean, come on, it's a Green Lantern. You don't really want to just see them dead. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm going to give it 3 Nerd Skulls. Hey guys, I got to read Critter number 1, and I don't know who this is supposed to be targeted towards. It's written like a child's comic, but it's got really skimpy girls, so I don't know who this audience is for. I didn't like the way that the dialogue was written, and to be honest, I didn't even get halfway through this comic. I'm only going to give it 1.5 Nerd Skulls because their costumes were interesting to look at. Hey, this is my review of Grim Reaper number 2, and I was really interested in this story. I hadn't read the first one, so I got right into it. I didn't know what was going on, but I slowly learned, and I enjoyed the process of slowly learning what this story is about. And I think that if you haven't read the first issue, it's still a fun place to jump in because you're a little bit confusing, and then it starts, the pieces all start coming together. And it was really interesting because this is his first time jumping into the body of somebody who is in a relationship, and it was really heart-wrenching just to see, you know, he's wondering what's going to happen to the wife. And he has this woman, Ella, that he seems to have this love interest in, and it's like, what's going to happen with them after, you know, they both leap through people. And I just was really intrigued. I couldn't put it down. I really want to read the next one. I'm going to give it 4 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, Brandon here, and I got to read Before Watchmen, The Comedian, number 1, written by Brian Azzarello and J.G. Jones, a awesome creative team. I love both of those guys. This is a very good story. We see Eddie Blake, but we see it, what I assume to be after Watchmen or during Watchmen. That's the only thing I had about this book, is that this kind of looks like it. I don't know. I was under the impression that it was going to be a younger comedian, and we were going to get a lot of that, whereas we're getting the comedian we know from the movies. It's still a really good book. I'm not saying anything bad about it that way. I just confused on the time place. But I'll definitely pick this up if you've been reading the other before Watchmen stuff. I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Next up is Astonishing X-Men number 51, the big wedding issue that everyone has been talking about. I have to say I'm very surprised about this issue because I thought we were going to get into it and you were going to have a wedding and it was going to be, oh my God, there's an attack from these group of bad guys or this bad guy. But the issue starts out with, I guess, the carryover from the previous story arc with Karma. And yeah, everything goes pretty smoothly. You get a couple X-Men. They show different personalities of people who won't attend the wedding because they don't agree with gay marriage. You have people who are a little uneasy about it, but all around, it's a very good issue with a very good message, and this is an awesome step forward for Marvel and comics. I think this is great. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. I was lucky enough to read Nightwing number 10. This is one of my favorite issues coming out of the New 52. This kind of picks up after his whole run-in with the Court of Owls and all the revelations that were brought about with Dick Grayson during that. And he's sort of trying to breathe a breath of fresh air into Gotham, sort of the bad parts of Gotham. And they throw a cool little twist in here that he has to, kind of for financial backing, work with Tony Zuko's daughter, who is the man who killed his parents. And she knows that, he knows that, and it's very uncomfortable, but I'm really tempted to see where they go with this whole storyline. We got a new group of villains too, and this issue ends with them kind of with the confrontation, so it means the next issue is going to start off action-packed. But pick this one up. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Lastly, I got to read Gunther number 10. This book has been so cool. I'm so glad it's still going on. I'm glad people are picking it up. This issue starts off with Reed selling his soul, but realizing he might get tricked into it. So he throws a couple more stipulations in, but still kind of gets a little screwed over in this. It's a very fun issue. I like the way they dealt with that, the selling of the soul. It's still a very family-friendly book, but it's still entertaining enough for adults to read, which is totally cool. I mean, that's what everyone's really looking for in a comic book. This is just a good issue. If you guys aren't reading Reed Gunther, you're really missing out. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Mars Attacks number 1 finally came out this week. I added this title to my pull list over 6 months ago, and I've been really excited. Plus, John Layman writes it. As you all know, I love Chew, so John Layman writing a Mars Attacks book, of course I had to read it. It's actually set in 1962, so it's set before the Mars Attacks fantastic movie that we all seem to love. John McCree does the art, so that's actually really good. The story moves along nicely, and I want to read a second one. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Chew 27 came out this week. As you all know, this is one of my favorite comics that Image distributes, and for good reason. John Layman is a genius with this title. He writes into little Easter eggs here and there, and you can learn things like his favorite shows like Fringe and Lost, and it's every single issue too, so every single one is fun. This one is a little bit different. Rob Guillory gets to show his own interests. There's this really cool psychedelic page where each and every single panel is inspired by a different one of his favorite artists. So it's a really fun title. Plus, this issue has 2 different stories going on in it, so you get even more for your buck. So I highly recommend it. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. You had to know I was going to talk about Saga number 4 because it came out this week, and you all know that this is another one of my Image favorites. Brian K. Vaughan writes it, and it is just excellent. The first 3 issues, I was a little bit on the fence because the fantasy is a little hard to get your head around. But number 4 makes it all, makes much more sense to you. So you're going to want to pick up this issue. It makes sense of everything that you've been confused about thus far. And Brian K. Vaughan, you know, every time I read a title of his and I start to forget why he's such a good writer, then comes up an issue where he just proves himself. So I think you all should pick up this, not just comic fans, but anybody. It's a really good way to get into comic books. So check it out. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, that is going to do it for all the comic reviews we have for you this week. But until next week, be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Nerdlocker.com for all your nerdy news. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Cubby.
See you next week for more comic reviews.